Today, I'm going to talk about the biggest mistake in marrying product and Agile that everyone keeps making. I owe everything I know about Agile, product management, and coaching to the incredible minds I've learned from over the last 20 years. Whether it's insights from Radhika Dutt or Rich Muranov or Marty Kagan, lean lessons from Jeff Gotthelf and Josh Seiden, or the Agile mindset from the likes of Alistair Coburn, or the principles of what it is that makes really great teams from Paul Barber and Lucy Widdowson, the same truth is always permeated through all those conversations and all that learning. The best teams don't just deliver fast, they learn fast.
World-class thought leaders and practitioners. Why, I hear you ask? Well, I want to increase your knowledge and your motivation to experiment so that together we can create ever more successful products. My name is Ben Maynard and I'm your host. What has driven me for the last decade to bridge the gap between agility and product is a deep-rooted belief that people and products evolving together can achieve mutual excellence.
Today I'm going to talk about the biggest mistake in marrying product and Agile that everyone keeps making. Welcome to the Product Agility Podcast. I'm Ben Maynard as always, and today I'm going to be tackling one of the biggest failures in every attempt to follow Agile or embrace a product mindset. It's the complete misunderstanding of how learning really drives adaptability. Now, I owe everything I know about Agile, product management and coaching to the incredible minds I've learned from over the last 20 years. Whether it's insights from Radhika Dutt or Rich Muranov or Marty Kagan, lean lessons from Jeff Gotthelf and Josh Seiden, or the Agile mindset from the likes of Alistair Coburn, or the principles of what it is that makes really great teams from Paul Barber and Lucy Widdowson, the same truth is always permeated through all those conversations and all that learning. The best teams don't just deliver fast, they learn fast. Yet, despite decades of experience and research and case studies proving this, we still see companies stuck in the trap of delivering speed over learning speed. Teams race to meet deadlines, but without validation. They just keep delivering things faster that people don't really want. And when things fail, they blame execution, when the real failure was the lack of learning. Some of you may have seen an interaction I had on LinkedIn earlier this month. This month in February 2025, where someone was explaining to me that what teams need are just clear requirements from the business. And I just couldn't really get on board with this. If all teams needed was clear requirements from the business, and so much needs to be right with that. The business need to know what they want. And we know, whether it's looking at the work of Jake Knapp and design sprints or looking at lean product discovery from the likes of Jeff Gotthelf and Josh Seiden, is that actually the more brains we get on solving a meaningful business problem, and the more we iterate, the more we fail, the more we learn as a team, probably almost certainly the better decisions we're going to have when the environment that we're in is not predictable and known to us, which in essence is most product software delivery. So yes, what we're looking at today, what I'm talking about today, is this trap of delivery speed over learning speed. It's when teams are racing to meet those deadlines without validation, as I said. And when things fail, everyone blames Agile, they blame execution, they blame delivery, when the real failure was always and will always be the lack of learning. But there's an even bigger failure at play here, one that nearly every Agile and product transformation gets wrong. It's the reason why so many teams build without validation. The reason why Agile training missed the mark. The reason why teams are stuck in the feature factory instead of real product discovery. And that failure comes from how we completely misinterpreted one of the most important Agile principles. It's important here to point out that I'm not on the fence here when it comes to my love and what I owe to the Agile community, the Agile mega complex, the Agile principles and values. I built a career off of that. But what I've also seen over the past 10 years is that Agile alone never really solved the problem. And I think Agile probably could have done. I think that when we look at what's happening in fantastic product companies, actually, it's not a million miles away from where some of the great Agile teams and great Agile organizations maybe could have ended up if we had just got over ourselves a little bit and actually really focused on the major Agile principle, one of the most critical Agile principles that everyone got wrong and everyone still gets wrong. And it's why it's slowing us down. In one of the original Agile principle states, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. That sounds simple, right? Except we completely get it wrong. One debate, you might have heard this in the podcast in the previous episode, and the first mistake I want to talk about is when people think the business equals a product owner. So instead of fostering real collaboration, organizations decided that business people just meant the product owner. One person sitting between the development team and the actual users, filtering, interpreting, and often blocking direct engagement with the customers. And this single misinterpretation slowed learning down to a crawl. I believe, now I'm not going to call out the person, but there was a guest probably a couple of years ago who just couldn't get their head around the fact that when we talk about the business people, it didn't mean the product owner, at least in my opinion. What they were saying here, and let's look at the sentiment of it, let's look at what ought to be. We were talking about the developers, the people who are developing, creating the product, whatever their skill set may be, talking to the people who are the ultimate arbiters of success or failure, and doing that frequently. And yes, it says project, but let's just get over ourselves, right? That was written at a time where projects were very popular and served a purpose, and they still do. If we just replace that word in our minds with product and get over that, then actually we can't get away from the fact that this was the single biggest miss, I think, when it came to the dodging of Agile principles. So when we do put somebody in between, say the product owner, developers aren't talking to the users, they're talking to the person who talked to a person who might have talked to a user at some point. Insights are diluted, secondhand information rules, and teams lose their ability to develop intuition about their product and intuition about their customers. We want our development teams, our software engineering teams, our product teams, however we want to label them, I don't really care. But we want these teams to be making decisions as if they were the customer, as if they were the CEO. That's what we want to achieve. And unless we can find a way to tap into those natural human instincts of face-to-face communication, of talking to the people who are going to be receiving what we're creating, so we can build empathy and knowledge and understanding, then we're never going to succeed in speed to learning. And it's always going to be about just focus on speed of delivery. Now, mistake number 2, assuming it was optional. Some organizations ignored this principle altogether, treating user engagement as a nice to have rather than a core part of Agile. They assumed that as long as they had a product owner, that was enough. The result? Well, slower speed to learning, because insights had to travel through layers of bureaucracy. A lack of product and user customer intuition, because engineers weren't exposed to real user feedback in a timely manner. A disconnect between problems and solutions, because the people building the product weren't exposed to the problem firsthand. So what's the fix? The original intent of Agile was to ensure that people who make the product and the people who use the product are in constant daily conversation, not through a middleman, directly. And I do remember in all my time in banking, particularly one conversation, that people believed that the success of what they were doing was purely down to really well-written requirements. I also recall, and this is going back some time, I'm not saying I try to do in absolutes as much as maybe some of the stuff I say may seem like that. I try not to. But I do recall a time when teams had people with analysis skills on there. And those people with analysis skills, I was one of those people for quite some time, went and spoke to the users, and the good ones, in my opinion, connected the teams to the users and the customers so they could have meaningful conversations. Then what happened in the organizations where I was spending my time, those analysis type skills and functions got segmented off, siloed away into what we used to call a change function. So then all those people would do was write requirements documents. Then somebody thought, well, I don't have a change function. That isn't very agile, is it? Let's get rid of a change function. So they got rid of a change function and left this huge gap when it came to the analysis skills, which were necessary to have the conversations with the right people, to connect people to each other, to connect teams to customers. It disappeared in a puff of smoke. And so then I think people looked around and saw, well, hold on, here's Scrum. They got the role of a product owner. Surely that must be the analyst. Cue lots of banging your head against a wall, because that was not the point. That was not the point. And SAFe did a fantastic job at really helping to permeate that idea. So I'm not saying that if you're a product owner, you don't need to exist. You probably do. What I'm saying here is that the types of product owners I see are immensely successful 20 years ago, they were just the people who were on teams as analysts. and doing a fantastic job. So I don't really care about the label. The important thing here is that we have an opportunity to, as Agile seems to be on the ropes a little bit, is maybe to restore Agile to what it was meant to be, to make it useful in marrying it with product, make it into a system where learning happens in real time every single day. That means engineers, designers, and business people, like real business people, not just the team product owner, need to have direct and continuous interactions with customers and users, not once per quarter, not after launch, every single sprint. Here's the funniest ad you're going to hear for a lean product discovery course. Like, did you suffer from chronic backlog bloat? Have your sprints become an endless cycle of building things nobody asked for? Are you trapped in a feature factory with no escape in sight? You may be eligible for a lean product discovery intervention, the only course designed to teach you how to test ideas before spending months shipping nonsense. However, this does come with some side effects. These include shorter development cycles, stakeholders actually understanding why you're testing and what you're testing first, no longer needing to pretend that you have the data when you actually just have opinions. So, sign up for this today and start your learning faster than your competitors' journey. Check the show notes for more information. This is paid for the Coalition Against Useless Roadmaps. Now, let's talk about Agile coaches. Yes, I know you're there. I know you're listening. We're not just talking about efficiency. Okay, we're talking about learning. You're teaching learning, not efficiency. If you're an Agile coach, your job isn't just to make teams work faster, it's to make them think smarter. The best Agile teams I've experienced aren't the ones that deliver the most. They're the ones that learn the most per sprint. So how can you as an Agile coach, or maybe even as a product coach, break the feature factory mindset? Perhaps consider replacing sprint goals with learning goals. Every sprint should define what needs to be learned, not just what needs to be delivered. Try and, dare I say, run some kind of discovery sprints. So before committing to any development, really spend the time validating the problem and looking for problem solution fit. Maybe that's how you should be treating your product backlog refinement. Try looking at using learning Kanban. So instead of tracking tasks, track assumptions, experiments, and insights gained. A real-world example for me is one team I worked with was excited to build a recommendation engine. And instead of jumping into development, they ran a concierge MVP, manually curating recommendations from a small test group. The result? User engagement was low. Customers didn't actually want a personalized recommendation system. That single experiment saved 6 months of wasted development. Now, product managers, I'm talking to you. Your success is measured by learning, not by launches. Right, for product managers, the challenge is clear for me. Stop treating roadmaps as a list of features to build. A roadmap should be a learning plan. The fix for this? Think of it as a learning roadmap. Try it as a learning roadmap. So frame learning as risk reduction. Show stakeholders that testing early prevents expensive failures later. Tell your stories with data. Instead of saying, we think this is a good idea, say, we ran this experiment and here's what we learned. Use visuals, create a learning pipeline alongside your delivery roadmap. Now, I'm going to keep this one short today because, the sun is shining here in the UK and I want to go out and enjoy some of it. So I want you to just think about this. Speed to learning is speed to value. If you're not learning fast, you're just guessing fast, and guessing isn't a strategy. And if you want to go deeper on any of these topics, then do check out my Lean Product Discovery course, where I'll show you how to embed learning into every single step of your product development process. And you want to join the conversation? Well, get onto LinkedIn. Check out the posts that we're putting out. I've got a Product Agility Podcast account, and share your biggest mistake that you've seen in Agile teams and product teams. Share your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to the Product Agility Podcast for more straight talking insights. I am looking forward to keeping these up. We will be having some guests coming on, but I just wanted to, share some thoughts with you all. So until next time, learn fast, ship smart, and stay agile.